Hi everyone. Today we are in conversation with Gineesh. He's a writer, blogger. He runs this blog, Tech Weekly. He has written uh, uh, solo book, Ansible for automation, real life automation, and then he's coming up with the second edition of Kubernetes Bible. So this is I'm looking forward for it. And then he shares his knowledge on LinkedIn. He's creating the community here in Kerala and Singapore as well. And thank you very much, Gineesh, for doing this. And if you like to introduce yourself as well in your own words, thank you.
Hi, Sandeep. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for this opportunity to talk here, share my whatever I know. So, yeah, basically, I'm from Kerala, India, but I'm working in Singapore now in a software company. So the contribution part was like, I'm kind of OCD in in documentation. So whenever I do something, I have a habit of document it somewhere, at least some notes, and not the notes like written notes. Usually, I put it somewhere in my laptop. Sometimes it will be enhanced and improved, and it will publish a blog. That's a kind of thing. So basically, yeah, I'm a documentation guy mostly, um, and mostly I focus on Ansible automation and Kubernetes plus OpenShift kind of track. And yeah, that's a high level in the kind of a summary.
One good thing actually, you mentioned that you're a documentation guy. So whosoever is working or ever worked in your team, they would be quite happy because nowadays, I mean, people are, I mean, they are not able to find the documentation in small companies or startups. That is a big issue. So I think they should hire you
Yeah,
to streamline the whole
sure.
process.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. So just wanted to start the conversation with the books basically. So you work in very large company. You have very big responsibility there. You have family, and you are staying in another country and managing. Because why I'm saying that another country is because in India you can find n number of ways to get help from family, friends, or anyone else, but there you don't have any other help. So you have to do everything with I mean, your own basically. So, how do you manage to write both of these books and then perform really well in your company, family, and everything? So, could you please shed some light?
Yeah, sure. Actually, there are multiple things. I know the struggle. I'm coming from there. First thing, yeah, I have good support from my family, especially my wife and kids.
Mm-hmm,
They allow me to do my own things, but I don't feel it like it's a separate from my work. So
mm-hmm,
whatever the technology or the articles or whatever the things I am writing or contributing is all related to my um, professional work. Let's, for example,
mm-hmm,
Ansible or Kubernetes or Terraform or OpenShift. Um,
mm-hmm,
it's always related to my work. Let's say I am exploring something, I will make sure, okay, it's shared. Okay, if it's something good document, I just share in LinkedIn. So that's a kind of a practice. For the book writing, yes, again, the first book was mostly based on my previous experience, how people can find the use cases and automate it. Because I know
mm-hmm,
a lot of people know Ansible, but they don't know
mm-hmm.
what to automate. They know, okay,
Yeah,
I know I
exactly.
learned Ansible, I'm certified, what next? So kind of situation. Also, companies already purchased Ansible, but they don't know what to automate kind of situation. So that's
Mm-hmm,
why I thought, okay, maybe I can share what I know. Okay, you can do a lot of things. So we included some of the things inside the book, and yeah, it was very helpful, I guess. So how to find the time? Mostly I find time after office hour, right? Then there will be something like we call it like a extra learning time. Sometimes it
mm-hmm,
will be learning, but if I am learning, of course, I will document it. So for Ansible, for example, I always document it like how to do this, how to do that, how to do this. So next time, maybe after 6 months, if customer or user or community guy asks, hey, how can I integrate this with A to B or Ansible with another one? I have the answer already because I already done that, tested it, and documented it. So next time, if I want to publish a blog, it won't take much time. Maybe some 30 minutes. I need to clean up and take some screenshots and publish it. So
mm-hmm,
I feel like it's part of my job, kind of a continuous learning. I don't feel it's like I'm spending a lot of time on the book or blog. Of
mm-hmm,
course, I have to spend time with my family, no choice. Um, So yeah, that's how I'm doing. Yes, it's sometimes it's a bit like kind of a pressure. You feel like okay, I have to finish the chapters by next Sunday, but the publishers are good. They always give the kind of a freedom or like relaxed timeline, so it's okay. I never feel like okay pressurized or kind of thing. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Nice, actually. So, actually, I wanted to ask you this question as well, but you have already answered it, I think, because that was something that instead of creating videos, because nowadays everybody is just like me creating videos instead of writing, but you have already mentioned that you like to write and document all those things. So, that is good, actually. Thanks for
Yeah.
all this, because of you, I mean, I have learned a lot, honestly.
Oh,
I
thank
follow you
you.
very closely, whatever you write, and even I try your blogs on daily basis, basically. So yeah, cool. And regarding this Kubernetes Bible thing, I mean, earlier this first version was written by the renowned authors, and on how it landed and how it is going actually. Would you like to say something about it?
Yeah, sure. So the first book was amazing. It was a great resource for the Kubernetes learners. It was explaining everything. Then, the Kubernetes or any other open source project is like evolving. Like every day we have changes. So
Mm-hmm.
it was not easy to keep that updated content inside a book. If it's a video, you can just replace the video for that specific portion and it's easy. If it's a blog, you
Mm-hmm.
can republish again. But for the book, it was not easy. But so what we were trying is like we try to update the outdated content mostly and
Mm-hmm.
also include a lot of new information because Kubernetes changed a lot. The architecture changed a lot last few years. Then we have a new container runtimes, not Docker alone, so we can use a lot of container runtimes in the backend. So we thought, okay, it's good to include all this information. So I was just trying to help, kind of outline, updating the outline and all. But then I thought, okay, I can do it, and yeah, that's how I became the author of the second edition. So yeah, I think we are still progressing, and we have our co-author Russ. He's also contributing a lot of chapters. So hopefully, it will be a great book for the learners.
No, definitely, definitely, it will be a great book, just like your first book. So, congratulations and thank you on that. And
Thank you.
I have a couple of very small, crisp, simple questions to ask you. So, the first question is actually around Ansible, uh, because there is so much content about Ansible. People know how to do those things and all. They can learn from your book as well. But given your experience on Ansible, uh, what is the most trickiest thing you have solved with Ansible, or what is the most innovative way you have used Ansible to solve problems in your day-to-day work, or maybe somebody has come up with this scenario uh, after reading your book, or maybe from the community, that can I do this with Ansible? Do you have some anecdote around that?
Yeah, so it's a kind of a very common problem here. So someone learned the technology, can be Ansible or Kubernetes or anything.
Hmm.
Um, so Ansible is a platform. It's a tool you can do like you can do almost everything. To be honest,
Hmm.
how to find the use cases? That's why everyone struggle. Like they say, I know Ansible. I'm already certified, Red Hat certified Ansible automation platform kind of thing. But um, finding use cases, most of the time they fail. So if you check around, someone asked me, how can I practice Ansible? I have Ansible, I learn Ansible, but I don't find anything in my environment. So I told, just look around. What are you doing every day manually? You log into some server, do something, and come back. You log into another server, doing something. So if you just filter out as a list, kind of, the at least your service now ticket or something like that, okay, what
Hmm.
are the tickets you worked on every day or every week or every month? You know the volume, right? So find it from there, or you have to find it in that way instead of someone say, okay, we have to automate a specific task, and most of the time it won't be feasible. And
Hmm.
another thing is the scale. So usually, if you want to very simple one, updating a server, or you call the patching a server, it's a very simple use
Hmm.
case. Uh, Sometimes they want to start with a kind of a big workflow. Most of the time, I will say, hey, just start with a small workflow. just focus on the updating. Backup, you take the backup manually. You
Mm-hmm.
manage the restoration manually. Now you focus on the update part where Ansible can be used to do the M update or Windows update or whatever it is. Now you expand it, slowly expand it. Okay, taking the backup files, taking the snapshot of the virtual machines or doing some kind of thing. You slowly add this, then you have a full workflow. Then you can say, I have automated end to end. You cannot automate from end to end in the first day, day one or day two. So usually we
Exactly.
say, okay, start with small, then you slowly expand it. Another one is the main issue I find is something like these people, I mean, most of the community members, they miss the core concept about Ansible. They just know, okay, I know Ansible. This is the module, this is the
Mm-hmm.
playbook, and start working. Then what happens is every time when there is an error, they struggle to troubleshoot. They will feel like, okay, they cannot proceed. They ask in the community forum, nobody can help because they miss the basic, the core items, right? So yes, okay, please learn Ansible. Spend a week or 2 weeks. There are thousands of videos or blogs available to learn Ansible. You don't need to pay for. I mean, you can go for the paid courses anyway, but there are free courses available. Check that and learn the basics. Then you find the use cases and slowly implement it. Because if you check the Telegram groups or the community chats, right? Someone asks, hey, I want to automate Oracle database installation. This is a use case. Yeah, you can automate. You come with a manual thing. So innovative way. So usually we say you can do a lot of innovation. We have automated some very complicated kind of workflows using Ansible. So what we have done, so there are workflow like 20, 25 stages. We split it.
Mm-hmm.
We split one by one, like a small task. Then we put as a workflow. It's possible. So initially we thought, okay, it's a very troublesome one. No, it can do it. Even DC to DR site, the DC DR failover, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot start with the full flow in the day one. You
Mm-hmm.
focus on one part, then enhance it with another component like that. So even we have automated the Confluence, Jira, HTML content. We have automated using
Oh,
Ansible. Usually it's not,
okay.
but we have automated because it's doable, but it will take time. But maybe Ansible, we took a lot of time, but we know we can do it, but it may not be the right way. But yeah, we still manage to do it. But the issue is like we have to think about, okay, whether Ansible is suitable for that or not. For example, monitoring. So people use Ansible for monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
Go and do the health check every 10 minutes and come back. No, Ansible is not for that. You can do it. So we say, please use the right tool in the right place. There is a monitoring tool available. Use it
Mm-hmm.
for monitoring. Then the monitoring tool can do some alert to the Ansible to do some automated remediation. That kind of thing you have to think. Yeah,
Nice. Monitoring, I think I have seen people doing this thing,
Ansible.
for monitoring because they are spawning up these instances with the Ansible, so they think, uh, why not run a playbook to check the health of the
Yeah,
these
yeah,
instances? But yeah, so the Confluence one is actually quite innovative. I haven't heard about this, and yeah, that was cool. So and DCDR that is in demand as well.
yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
DR. I mean, if you are able to pull it off with Ansible, I think this can be a single click DR for anyone with Ansible and
Yeah, we have done for several places because it depends on again it's a feasibility because DCDR kind of thing involves changing the DNS. That means you should access to the F5, you should have access to these, you should have access to that. So there should be proper GTM dot balancer and all. Otherwise, no
Mhm,
point because if your DC side and your Ansible is running in the DC, your DC is already gone, so you cannot do the DR. So Ansible should be in a separate place or separate DC. So we have this kind
mhm,
of design. We should have a design. So yeah, we have
mhm.
done it at several places.
Cool, cool. I'll take your help. I mean, whenever I'm doing the
Sure. Anytime.
DR,
Yeah,
running with the
anytime.
NCL.
Yeah,
Cool,
yeah,
sir. Thank you very much on that. The next question I would ask you on Kubernetes, because Kubernetes is also having very wide reach and everybody is using it. And now in a way also, I mean, people know how to use Kubernetes, but the thing is that if a new person is starting up with Kubernetes, uh, it is too big to kind of pick where to start. So is there any specific advice you would like to give to someone who is starting up on Kubernetes, where they should read, from which point or service they should start this thing?
Yes, it's a very common question I used to receive, right, from the community. For the Kubernetes, we know there are a lot of moving pieces and a lot of
Exactly.
projects running, and it's continuously every day community is contributing. That means you have a version changes, features changing, even command, sometimes the command is changing. So
Oh.
why people struggle, I notice, because they miss the core, because it's all based on your base. There is a base called operating system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because it's running on top of operating system, and you have a container layer, you have a lot of layers. I notice a lot of people miss the base level. They don't know anything about Linux. Even we ask them, okay, can you do this command or that command? We found, okay, they simply don't know. So what happens is uh, they struggle on troubleshooting part. So they miss this basic Linux, for example, plus the networking part and some other areas. So what will happen when Kubernetes components in the picture, they don't know how to relate this. They don't know, okay, which component is doing what and how it can relate to the operating system function, how the container layer is working. So they miss all this part. I feel like that's a kind of a mistake they are doing. So focus on the base first. Once you have the base, slowly you can pick up on the Kubernetes part. So that's another mistake. So last time I was talking to someone, they say, okay, I mean, this person is already CKA certified.
Okay.
Okay, but I asked him some simple questions about it was not an interview. I was asking to prepare him for his interview. I was asking
Mm.
about some container stuff. Then he was not sure what is that. So he already
Okay.
passed CKA, but the issue is like he skipped all these things. He doesn't know what even doesn't know how to install Ubuntu or
Mm.
how to spin up a container using Docker command, kind of how to do the inspect command. No, doesn't know. So it's like missing the core or the base, and they always like skip the steps. So usually we say, right? So DevOps engineer or the SRE is not for the new joiners, or it's not for the
Mm.
what do you call them? Yes, because you have learned
Pressure.
unless you learn all like Linux and all like in your college time, then yeah,
Mm.
maybe after 4 years, 3 years, you can directly go for the DevOps role because by that time maybe you already learned everything, you're good enough.
Mm.
So that's the first thing I noticed. Okay, don't skip the base. Learn Linux, learn networking because that's important. You don't need
Very much
to
important.
yeah, you're not using the network directly in Kubernetes like as a user because you have Kubernetes components taking care of that. But when there is an issue, when you have a customization requirement or kind of a design requirement, yeah,
Mm.
you will struggle. So learn that base first, then you learn Kubernetes, including the container part. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
If somebody knows actually the synergy between the operating system and the Kubernetes, their life becomes so much easier actually. I mean, how it is
true, yeah,
going and how's the, I mean, these syscalls and signals are talking, how they
correct,
interfere, the signals are interfering between the container life cycle and all. So it is, I mean, it kind of creates the picture in front of us. And the networking, I mean, it's lifesaver. I mean, if we know the networking, I mean, so much complex scenarios are happening nowadays uh, in companies, especially, I mean, if you know networking, I have seen, I've been asked these questions by some, I mean, a startup founders, very small companies, they are not having, I mean, the DevOps engineers. And they were struggling with the networking part. The DevOps engineer who was, I mean, kind of fresher that point of, I mean, they hired
mm,
intern and then converted. He was not able to figure out because he was not able to uh, kind of find a way to correlate between load balancer, ingress, then the service and the pod, and then it was connecting via VPN. So that
yeah,
was good
true,
actually. If you know
yeah.
networking, your life becomes easier anywhere actually. professional partner. So cool. Thanks for that, actually. And I see you have been doing a lot of good stuff on OpenShift as well. And OpenShift, I mean, it's a kind of black box for me. So I couldn't come up with a very unique question or something. So I'll ask you this very simple question. I mean, if we have, I mean, the Kubernetes is so good, why would somebody need OpenShift, and why would a company create a product on top of it? I know, I mean, the companies have their own reasoning, but if as a user, I'm already having Kubernetes, how can I be convinced to use OpenShift? I mean, your views on that?
Yeah, so in Kubernetes and other Kubernetes flavors, so I will just call flavors. It's like a Linux and you have Linux flavors. So it's all the base is same. So you have the same Kubernetes inside OpenShift. So you have the the operating system layer. That it can be like any operating system like Ubuntu, Fedora, RHEL can be anything. Then you have the Kubernetes layer. So we are using the same Kubernetes layer, but Kubernetes is just a platform for running the containers. But to run an application, you need a lot of other tools. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Like, you need a now we know the operators, for example. So if you want to manage the operators, you need an operator lifecycle manager, or called OLM, or you need a proper deployment manager like a Helm chart or kind of thing. Or maybe you should have an automation tool. So you don't have these kind of
Mm-hmm.
things in Kubernetes natively. That means you have to
Mm-hmm.
install it or you have to configure it in a different way. So these are like you are adding a lot of kind of packages inside Kubernetes. So when you install Kubernetes, it can be DIY. You are just
Mm-hmm.
getting the Kubernetes as a Kubernetes. That means you cannot just give this platform to a application team or the developer as it is, because they cannot simply use it. First thing, I will give you an
Mm-hmm.
example. Registry. We don't have a registry in Kubernetes.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have to depend like you have a dependency on the external registry, either
Exactly.
internet registry or something like you have to deploy another registry like Harbor or something and do
Mm-hmm.
this part. So this is where OpenShift is called as a product. So product
Mm-hmm.
means you
Okay.
install and use it, right? Because Kubernetes is like a still I call it like a project. You can still
Yeah.
install it, use it, test it, do it. But for the
Mm-hmm.
production one, of course, you should have a lot of things. But for me, I can see the OpenShift when you deploy it, you are getting a product, and we call it a platform. It's a platform as a service, real PaaS. So Kubernetes, we
Mm-hmm.
cannot call it PaaS yet because still we are missing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing. Even in OpenShift, there are different components or levels. So we call it OKE or OpenShift Kubernetes engine. That's the first
Mm-hmm.
level. You are just getting the Kubernetes in a supported way from Red Hat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a actual platform where you have OpenShift container platform, or we call it OCP.
Mm-hmm.
OCP means is a lot. You are adding a lot of other layers on top of this Kubernetes, like CI/CD pipelines, GitOps pipelines. Then you have a
Okay.
registry. Then you have a application platform, build pipelines. So instead of building the images manually, you can just give the URL or repository link to OpenShift, and OpenShift will take care of the build part by automatically detecting the application like a Java or Ruby. You don't need to worry anything.
Okay.
Then it will store everything in the internal registry or whatever the registry you configured, and it will
Mm-hmm.
deploy the application and it will take care of everything. Very good, right? So that's why I thought it's a
Exactly.
product. Yeah, you install, then you say, okay, this is my application, and give the link of the repository, not even an
Mm-hmm.
image.
Mm-hmm.
So these kind of features it's just one of the features. So we have this kind of thing. So I would say it's more like a product.
Mm-hmm.
Then the best thing is the enterprise support because it's a product. So
Mm-hmm.
there will be
Exactly.
support, and if you check, I mean, if you ask the enterprises when you introduce a software, the first question will be, what is the support level? The SLA,
Exactly.
right? What happened at
Exactly.
7 p.m.? The platform is down. So what will happen? So, so this is something like there's a kind of a barrier for the normal DIY Kubernetes. Not easy to go
Exactly.
in unless it's getting from a managed services like GKE or AKS or AKE, that kind of flavors. So yeah, that's the main difference. So we can see this is more like product. Other one is a project. I know many DIY Kubernetes clusters are running around. I know a lot, of course, more than OpenShift. But
Measure,
these are
measure.
the kind of yeah, ready. It's kind of a like you open the box and use it, kind of a laptop. The other one is like still you have to plug in the cable, assemble it, connect the
Yeah,
mouse,
exactly.
keyboard. Yeah, yeah. That's a main difference I can say in a high level.
I think we can call it a full package. I mean, you don't have to do
Kind of
anything. I mean,
yes,
once you get OpenShift. Nice.
yes, yeah,
Thank you very much. Actually, that is a great learning for me as well because I used to think what is OpenShift and all, but today I got it. I mean, what it is exactly. And thank you. The
yeah.
last question would be since I mean we both are in DevOps domain or I mean SRE domain basically. So I mean, a lot of these places, I mean, they lag in processes and methodologies, uh, managing things. A lot of these questions and different levels it arises. Would you be able to correlate? I mean, a company's growth and the expectation from the DevOps team, and how I mean it goes side by side. Uh, how it is.
Um, Yeah, I never worked in a startup, but I got a lot of friends. Usually we talk. So even
Mm-hmm,
when you join, then you'll say, okay, whenever they start the DevOps, they form the DevOps team or SRE team. Usually you have these kind of discussions, right? They
mm-hmm,
take the kind of feedback and advices from the community also.
mm-hmm,
What I notice is purely depends on the team because most of the time the
mm-hmm,
startup, if the for example, if it's a startup, is like a kind of a software startup, right? Very software service. Um, they are really depending on this DevOps SRE team for the platforms.
mm-hmm,
It's very critical, they know. So most of the time, what will happen? It's a good that you have a decision-making power. So most of the time, I can see the DevOps team or the
mm-hmm,
SRE team or that team can decide, okay, we will use this tool. They discuss
mm-hmm,
and decide and proceed. It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because they don't do this like a long-term um,
planning.
validation or long-term planning. So let's
Mm-hmm,
say they use a tool called X for the CI/CD pipelines. Then they found, oh,
mm-hmm,
our one of the feature is not working. We need that, or maybe the performance is not good. Then they have to
mm-hmm,
choose to another tool. Means it's like it's kind of a planning issue. This I notice a lot in the kind of a small companies, but it's good actually. They have the full freedom to explore, change because it's a small team. Can
mm-hmm.
be, I mean, the decision can be faster. They don't need to go
Mm-hmm.
for the higher level approvals and all.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's a good
understood.
thing. Another good thing is the learning part because they know they have the options to explore and apply this in the production environment or in the work environment.
Mm-hmm,
Um, I don't know. Mostly I found it's good in terms of collaboration communication because it's a small team. It's easy to share the ideas, easy to get the
mm-hmm,
ideas. Your voice will be recognized. I think someone will say, oh, okay, you can install something. Okay, shall we try that?
mm-hmm,
It will work. In large companies, I tried, for example, I tried to uh, use Ansible in some places. No, it was not approved. They said, what is Ansible? Nobody knows Ansible. It was like very difficult to convince them, or because there is no user stories. The market was like, even the
mm-hmm,
blog or article was very less actually. So I
mm-hmm,
thought, okay, no choice. Then we have to use Ansible as Ansible, the normal Ansible.
mm-hmm.
You don't get the enterprise version. So that's a difficult part I notice when you compare enterprises and startups. Yeah, that's the thing I have to share. I don't know anything else. Mostly, yeah, don't know.
Mostly, what's your favorite DevOps practice? I mean, you like or favorite part in DevOps?
Okay, first thing is a collaboration, of course, because
Mm-hmm,
if you know the old culture, let's say you are in a company, big
mm-hmm,
team, the seniors will not share the workflow or the documentation with you. They will
mm-hmm.
give you a part and they say, oh, you find yourself. They will say like, to be honest, they will say like, they will feel like, you will feel like, okay, they are asking us to explore and learn. No, they are not sharing. There is no documentation. So
Mm-hmm.
if the person is, it's all inside the memory, so they don't want to
Mm-hmm.
share. If I learn, if I do that, then they'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this person will be like kind of the scary part, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
will they
Exactly.
have that yeah, there was that feeling, but now I can see it's not there because earlier, like, you don't need to go a lot. You can say like almost 6 or 7 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
if you are a platform team, let's say you're a platform team or operating system, the infra team,
Mm-hmm.
you need to wait for the storage because the storage team, the person is busy or that team not only available to provision a 100 GB disk. Because of that, you have to wait for 1 week. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
network, same
Exactly.
for network. Yeah, same for network. You have to wait for the network team to approve the change, do this, that thing. Yeah, change process. Yeah, it should be there. I don't have a issue with that. But the time for provisioning a port and IP address is 2 weeks. It's not acceptable. It was not acceptable. That's a big thing. So now we know the thing, like we can provision a server or you get the platform in like few minutes, maybe 1 hour. You get the platform.
Mm-hmm.
You can start deployment, right? If it's automated, then yeah, it will be few minutes. So that's the first thing I know. The automation is there. That's the best thing. Collaboration is there. People are, I mean, they are okay to share what they know. They are okay to document it, and it's a good, like, you have an open communication. I hope there's an open communication. You can share your ideas. At least others
Mm-hmm.
will say, okay, this is good or bad. Earlier it was not. I mean, even you say something, nobody will care. Kind of situation was there, but now no, it's not there. I can see that. That's a good thing about the DevOps culture, I felt.
Cool. That is a good point, actually. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Do you have any closing thought, any word of wisdom for the people
Um.
in community?
No, yeah, nothing much actually, but yeah, I mean, it's based on learning part. I know, trust me, not most, all of our technology right now are do and learn things. You cannot just read
Exactly.
and learn it. So just try to uh, kind of interact with the community. So if you
Mm-hmm.
want to learn, every time I say the same thing, just join and participate in the community. So what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing almost every day, I spend at least 30 minutes or 60 minutes to check the questions in the community. It can
Mm-hmm.
be Ansible Slack or it can be Ansible chat group or Telegram group. I can find the real problems in the chat. They are
Mm-hmm.
trying to implement something like Oracle installation or the network switch configuration, and they are facing some issue. Means that's a problem, a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I can try that. I can read it about read that details, and I try some commands here if possible. If I have a lab access,
Mm-hmm.
then I document it. So that's a good learning. So
Right.
if you ask me, like 100%, I'm learning like a 20% from my work, but 80% learning is happening from this kind of community, like meetups, chat groups, telegrams, can be anything, Stack Overflow. So yeah, that's a kind of advice I have to share.
Cool, cool. That is I mean, useful advice actually, because we see so many people in our domain, but in community engagement and all, we see little less contribution and the presence of the people. So I think more and more people coming up with the ideas in the community will grow, and actually everyone
Yeah,
is growing with basically. So suppose I'm in 5 years of experience, you're in 10 years of experience. Together, I mean, I can learn from you, the junior person can learn from me. So that is good thing to come and kind of build a community together. That is
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Thank you very much for doing
yeah,
this.
sure.
I hope people will like it, and definitely they will like it, because there are many things they can learn from this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for